Hello. In this video, we're going to see how to join a community, which is one of the more important things you can do as a startup or an investment fund, or the moderator for either of those. Now, you'll first need to find a community that you would like to join, and you can do that by navigating to the Communities tab. I'll just point out before we do so that you can see all of the communities that I am a member of here because I moderate a decent amount of them, but you won't probably be a member of nearly as many. You will still be able to see all of those communities and join them if you find that to be appropriate for your needs. Now, navigating to the Communities tab will lead you to the Communities page, where 52 communities can be displayed. Some of these are moderated. That means that there's a member from that organization that is in charge of accepting or dismissing any requests to join, as well as posting and making sure that the content that is on that page is relevant to those who are members of that community. There are public groups, which anyone can join. And then there are private groups, not on this page, but hopefully on the next one. Private groups, well, the private groups are the ones that you can't join unless you are invited to do so. Now, clicking on any of these, for example, doing business in Brussels, will give you the option to contact, and in theory, you'll see on one of the next pages, a button that says join. Now, for moderated and open groups, oftentimes all you have to do is just request to be added. And at that point, the moderator, in this case, Fabrice Dury, will allow you to join. And I'll show you what that looks like from our point of view a little bit later. But here is a private group that you cannot join unless you have a key to do so. Now, you would first click on this join button here, but in this situation, that's not possible. And so you would need to receive an invitation link, and I can show you what that looks like from our end. In the administration tab, which you won't have access to, you have the request to join option, which allows you to create a link if you are the moderator of this organization by just selecting when the link should expire, and you can send that to any time you'd like. I think 10 years into the future, which should be enough for our uses. EuroQuity will endure to that point. It started in 2008, and I can guarantee you that it will go until the heat death of the universe. But you would then click on the link, create the link button here, and that will give a link. Now, for open communities, if you're a moderator, the link can be used by many people. You can send that out in a emailing campaign or to people individually on whatever social media you choose to interact with them by. However, for private groups, no, I read that wrong. It's the same thing. You can only create one link at a time. However, that link is usable by anyone you send it to. So if you send it out via mailing link, you can then change that link later on to make sure that people who pass it back and forth don't get the appropriate link inappropriately. Now, once you have created that link, you can send that to the people you want. But when you're a member, a company who is joining the organization, clicking on that link will lead you through a series of steps that allows you to become a member by accepting that link. And in this case, you would then become one of the August groups of people, such as Avob and Basimo. Now, I will not remove any of these people because that would be a bit of vandalism on my part that I will not engage in. However, that is something that you can do as the moderator of a community if you end up having accepted people who should not be part of your community, or people got a joining link that when they were not supposed to. And so once you become a member of the community, you will then receive news from that community that is posted by the moderators of the group. For example, here, there was a message back in 2022 about the Euromed Digital Summit. You could have found out a bit more about that at the time, 3 years ago. And so I'll just return to the communities label and go through another one, just to make sure that this sticks in your brain. Afrique France Entrepreneur is not a fully open community, it's a moderated community. And then you can contact any one of the 14 admin members. One of them should probably get back to you, allowing you to join or not. depending on whether or not you're a relevant community for this. And see, this is the description that is important for you as a startup or as an investor, is that you would need to read this to figure out whether or not you are relevant to the community at hand and whether or not you should be allowed into it. Now, the moderators will know that because they're the ones who are in charge of the community, but as a newly created company, you might not necessarily know what is relevant to you or not. And so by looking at the description, you can find out about that. Now, again, you can create a link, and this one has already a link created. And I will show you what that looks like. You would then get a link that looks something like this that you can then send to everyone, and then you will then see which people have joined via that link. And again, you can remove people at any time. Now, this last part here is of interest now for people, because it's only become live recently, is that you can translate the page if you wanted to make it so that German and Dutch people could also read what you have on your page, because they're not able to speak the languages that this was originally published in. For example, French or English, when it's been translated into it. And so as an admin of your page, you should be able to do that, should you so please. If you know that you're going to have a lot of Dutch traffic, you might enjoy that. And so once you have accepted people to your community, or you've become a member of that community, that is how you will post information about your community or the events and the goings-on that are relevant to members of that community. And it'll look something like this. For example, if you are working for InvestEU, you might want to post something about European Defense Week. And so just gives you a bit of an overview. And with that, I think that I have concluded the description of how to join and how to create links for people to join communities and the usefulness of that. So I thank you for your attention. And as always, feel free to reach out to us, the EuroQuity team. We can answer your questions if you have any questions. Thank you.